We're with Paula Radcliffe, guest of honour at the FPSG Awards dinner tonight, and you've just helped present our Athlete of the Year awards. How impressed were you with the standards of the shortlist, Paula?
I think the shortlist is so strong, and the standards across the board in Scottish athletics are so high right now, and that's even with some athletes sitting it out, waiting to come back next year. But that depth and that strength, to be able to choose the winners from the lists, people that didn't even make the list, the likes of Josh Kerr, I guess, in the 1500, to have all three of the men's 1500 metre representatives from Great Britain, from Scotland, and all three making the final, which was the first ever, was really strong. And then, of course, Laura Muir, Gemma Reekie backing that up with her successes at the Under-23 Championships, Steph 12 rounding off the year with a Scottish record in the marathon. It's really special.
We could have almost had a long list and then a short list, in fact. Let's talk about the winners. Callum Hawkins broke the Scottish marathon record in London, and then he had that 4th place in Doha. Where do you think that came from Callum after the difficulties of Gold Coast in 2018?
Well, I think we've always known that Callum's really something special, and he's capable of really doing great things, I believe, in the marathon, because he's so tough and he's so committed and so dedicated to it. But the key thing, I guess, is that he was on that trajectory up and up and up, and then he hit that huge bump on the Gold Coast, and it was so scary to watch, and it must have been even more scary for him to go through that and to mentally recover as much as physically recover, to put all of those scars behind him and to come back and compete in hot conditions in Doha, and to be able to do it so well, so wisely, and to just judge his effort to perfection. I think people underestimate just how big of a run that was from Callum.
Well, Maria Lyle is another athlete who's had some tough times. She's spoken about having anxiety and depression. Obviously, she's still a teenager at the moment. How impressed are you that Maria came back there and won a double in Dubai at the World Para Athletics Championships?
Very impressed. I think when you see what Maria has gone through and how young she still is, and how much she's already experienced, and the fact that she was already winning titles and at championships at 13, 14 years of age, and now 19, it seems like she's been here forever. She's achieved so much, and she's conquered those demons and that pressure in her own head, and everything that she's been exposed to very smartly and cleverly. You kind of forget that she is still only 19.
Well, let's just return to marathon for a moment, because obviously you're so well associated with that. We're talking about some real progress with national records for Callum and national records for Steph after a long number of years in both cases. And we do have a Scottish Athletics marathon project at the moment. You'll be pleased to hear that. I think sort of funding about 15 athletes to try and see if we can make some progress. Can those at the very top be the sort of the role models or the pathfinders for those down below, and maybe drive up the standards?
I think those at the top are always the role models for other people coming into it, and I think whether you're Scottish or not, you couldn't fail to be inspired by Callum's run and what he's gone through. And if I think back to when I was beginning, Liz McColgan was a huge inspiration for me, and now to see Ailish up there being nominated as well and running as well as she is, it's a kind of trickle-down effect. And when you see someone else from Scotland out there achieving it and doing well, then there's no reason why you can't also build up to those successes. So it's not a coincidence that we're seeing that strength and depth come through, that Andy Young's group is growing so strongly, the men's 1500 metres is growing so strongly, because they've had those trailblazers ahead of them, the likes of Chris O'Hare, Liz McColgan, Ailish McColgan, then Laura Muir, and then Gemma Reekie. Others are following through all of the time, and it kind of needs that camaraderie and snowball effect, and just that demonstrating that yes, this is possible.
Well, of course, just finally, it's not all about the athletes. We've been celebrating tonight officials, clubs, coaches and volunteers, and I'm sure you sensed a tremendous atmosphere in the room at the FPSG Awards. Would you agree that these people really are the fabric of the sport?
Absolutely. I think the volunteers, the coaches, all of that infrastructure, they make the sport. Without them, there wouldn't be a sport. And so I'd say they're the cement. They really hold it together, hold everything in place. And too often they're unsung, unapplauded. And so taking the time, like we did tonight, just to really say thank you to them and appreciate what they do throughout the year to make sure that athletics is the great sport that it is.
Thank you.